Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. And in this one, I have a lot to share, as the Hoda team gave us many big surprises. And the first one, as you can tell by the title of the video probably, is a whole new big surprise that we're gonna be watching together first. And then I'll tell you what I think about it, and then we're gonna be going over everything that there is to see. This is a trailer that I've first seen just like a day ago, and I was really surprised by it. Alone gives an immediate level up. An eagle eye is picked, not as a meme. He walks into some new creatures that we've never seen before. Some gorillas with sticks, and boom! A whole new town! Whole new heroes that we haven't seen, a dwelling that we have never seen before. And then we also get a little bit of a showcase of how the town looks inside. And then we get to see a little bit of their combat as well. We have big dudes, they look really tanky, get hit by 7 gunslingers and still don't fall. The monkeys with sticks also deal pretty good damage there. So yeah, we have a new faction in Horn of the Abyss currently being developed by the Hoda team, which is very surprising. I didn't think they would do anything big for the foreseeable future after recently releasing the factory as well. And alongside this reveal of a new faction, there also is a whole massive patch incoming to Heroes 3 Horn of the Abyss. It's already live to be played. It got released on the eve of the new year, 2025. Also, Happy New Year's everyone. Hope you're having a good one. And yeah, basically I'm gonna be going over all of the significant changes to the game. In terms of balance, this is the biggest patch that we've seen in the history of entire Heroes 3. This will shake up the meta dramatically in pretty much every format that you might be playing, but of course only if you're playing Horn of the Abyss. So, the first thing is that there is a new campaign. I don't know what this campaign is like, I don't know what it touches, but I will be playing it soon, and you're going to be able to see all of it on this YouTube channel. So I hope you're going to be there to see it. And next up is what we care about is going to be not the bugs. This is like somewhat relevant, but not really that interesting. The interesting stuff is in the gameplay section. And boy oh boy, do we get some really, really good stuff. So let's go over the list from top to bottom, and I'll give you my feedback on what this actually means. So Eagle Eye now gives the hero a 40, 50, 60% chance to learn opponent's levels 1 to 3 spells, level 4 spells, and level 5 spells, based on, of course, like the level of the Eagle Eye. Level spell before starting a combat, and when a spell is cast in battle, allows a player to view 1, 3, 4, 5 level spells in the opponent's spellbook in combat. If both heroes have Eagle Eye, it is mutually blocked, similar to Tactics. So yeah, if you have Eagle Eye, you get to cast spells that the opponent has but hasn't used yet in the same combat, basically making Eagle Eye really, really... Well, okay, I was gonna say good, but it's like super niche good. I can actually see Eagle Eye getting some play, you know, like unironically, where you would pick it as a good way to generate some spells. Because, you know, if you're gonna be like facing the opponent, you want to be able to cast those spells immediately, so usually Eagle Eye, the way that it worked before, was like basically like a no-go. Like, not only would you have to like, you know, like have the opponent cast the spells, then you would have to like get away from the combat, learn the spell, then go again, then use it. This is a really, really cool change, and Eagle Eye might see some actual play. This is really awesome. Then, learning increases the hero's experience gains by 25, 50, and 75%. gives the hero an extra level up immediately when picking up the when picking or upgrading this skill. That's why in the Bulwark trailer that we just seen, when he picked up learning, he immediately got another level up. This is due to this new change, and it got buffed from like, I don't even know what the old learning was. Well, it was something like super silly, like 15%, like something super low. But now it goes up to 75%, and you also get like an immediate level. So this is like a turbo buff for learning. And I've already played a little bit with it, and I gotta say, it feels pretty good. You're generating levels like way more often than you did before, and you get to like develop your hero skill tree quite a bit faster. Of course, still at a cost of secondary skill slot. So your hero that picks learning will develop faster, but will develop into like a little bit of a weaker hero. This is going to be especially good if you're going to be able to pick it up on a hero that really benefits from levels, such as like a unit with good specialty. Oh, and trust me, there's some good specialties out there right now, but we'll get into that. Then artillery protects the ballista and cannon, preventing them from losing more than 40% HP in a single hit. And the same applies to first aid and ballistics. These changes are basically like the same. If you have the corresponding secondary skill for whatever war machine that you're going to be using, that war machine will not be able to just get immediately like hit and killed. At the very least, you will have to hit it 3 times in order to kill it. This is so you can actually invest into one of these secondary skills without it being immediately countered by a single hit or a single spell. I feel like this is like a really good solution to be able to like pump some power into the war machines without having them be immediately irrelevant. Very good change. But that's not all. First Aid gives the First Aid Tent the ability to increase the HP of all creatures in the hero's army by 5, 10, and 15%, rather down, while the tent is not destroyed. So this means that if you were to take like a First Aid specialist like Ryan or Floribird and get him to like just level 20, it's high but you know like not too high, it's reasonable high. That means that your entire army, while the tent is alive, is going to be gaining 30% more HP. It's actually like pretty insane, and we've been seeing people experiment with that as well. And of course, the tent will not immediately die because of the previous change as well. So now the tent is very hard to destroy because of this change. It now actually has like a lot of value with First Aid because of this change. So First Aid is not as useless as it once was. It's probably a little bit early to say that it's like super good or overpowered. However, it's seeing like experimentation in different formats by many players, and honestly, it just kind of feels awesome. Also very notable that in any bank, resource bank, like Utopias and creature banks, the tent does not show up in the battle. However, you still get the extra HP from the First Aid as well. So yeah, really cool changes over here. Then Expert Ballistics allows the catapult to accurately hit targets. So this means that whatever you choose to hit with your ballista will basically die at Expert Ballistics, which is really powerful. You get to like first turn open up the gate, you get to like kill off the towers if you want exactly. It's a big boost to ballistics as well. Then Ballista price is reduced from 25 to 1500. Cannon price is reduced from 4000 to 3000. So Ballista and Cannon became quite a bit more available. And not only available, Ballista damage formula changed from 2 to 3 times attack plus 1 to 2 to 3 times attack plus 5. This basically means that Ballista, just like across the board, gets 4 attack skill worth of power. So basically, if you're a Christian spawning in with 2 attack, you're going to be dealing the same damage at the beginning of the game as if you had 6 attack instead. Basically, always a 4 attack skill bonus to the Ballista. Really good. It makes it a really good early game option for basically any hero, now that it actually has some base value for its damage. And also don't forget the cost it should use. So Ballista, really good for early game, for getting going. Would recommend. Luck triggered in combat now increases the damage by exactly 2 times instead of adding plus 100% to base damage alone. So, luck was kind of weird that it dealt like a pretty random amount of damage more with the hit. And, you know, that would be like a calculation based on like the buffs and reductions after the base damage was calculated. But, yeah, so basically I would say it did usually like 50 to 60% more damage instead of like being double. Now it's gonna be exactly double every time. This is a big buff to luck, and I feel like it's pretty well deserved. And yeah, it's gonna be probably amazing to use. Luck stacking is gonna be way better. Triggered or luck or bad luck now changes the damage inflicted on every target hit instead of just one. So what used to happen when you hit with like dragons, you could actually luck on one target, but the other target that you're hitting with the breath would actually not be affected by the luck that you rolled. And right now that has changed so that every single target is going to be hit. So if your dragon lucks, you're going to be just like one-shotting both of the stacks instead of just one. And it's just going to be like way more consistent across the board. Then luck and bad luck now affects the use-stroke ability of Dreadnoughts and Juggernauts. So the laser ability of Dreadnoughts and Juggernauts was basically just like an AoE auto attack that does not get retaliated to. Basically like the Hydra attack. However, Hydras could always luck and unluck, but Dreadnoughts for some reason could not, though functionally it was the same. So now it's made more consistent that, you know, luck and unluck applies to the Dreadnought's laser ability. I think that this just makes sense. Now, the next change is also super exciting. Pathfinding now reduces the standard cost of an off-road step by 20, 50, 75 down to a minimum of 95, 90, and 85. So what does this mean? This means that the Pathfinding now has a Trailblazer effect, and it will be able to take your step cost moving off-road below the usual minimum of 100 and down to 85, making you walk off the range 15% more efficiently. And that is amazing. Saving 15% on every off-road step that you make is like really adds up throughout the game. Pathfinding becomes like the second logistics of the game, and it's probably gonna be like I'm not sure if like S tier, at least an A tier skill with this change. It feels really, really good to use in many cases where you can fit it into your skill tree. Then Sorcery now increases spell damage by 10, 20, 30. This was like the most obvious change. If somebody asked me like, hey, like they're gonna be doing like a secondary skill patch, like what do you think they will change? I would say they're probably gonna double Sorcery. And that's exactly what happened. They double sorcery damage from 5, 10, 15 to 10, 20, 30. And now sorcery is going to be making a very noticeable boost to the damage that your hero does with spells, unlike the old sorcery. So I think this is great. This is like a very welcome change, and yeah, sorcery specialists are gonna go ham with insane damage, and honestly I love to see it. I think sorcery did really need this. And now Mysticism allows the hero to restore 10, 20, 30% of his maximum spell points per day, but no less than 5, 10, 15. This is like a very well-written skill, I think. So Mysticism now restores a percentage of the mana instead of being a flat rate, which, you know, it just makes sense. Because you want your secondary skills to scale, you know, like you have offense, it increases your damage by a certain percentage, but then you have skills like Mysticism that just gives you like a flat amount of mana, doesn't really make sense. You want your secondary skills to scale alongside your hero, and now it does! And that's amazing. However, in the early games, this would be a nerf, like if you're starting off with your free knowledge hero, and you know, like 10% is gonna be free mana, which would be less than 5, which was the old Mysticism before this change. So they made it so that it would be no less than 5, 10, 15, making sure that in no case is this ever going to be a nerf. So that's awesome. Mysticism sees a lot of play in some slow formats like Memory Lane, as I play quite a bit recently, and it feels really good. Learning Specialization now increases the skills effect by 5% per hero level. So I believe the only learning specialist is Kincaria, and Kincaria feels great. Level 20 Kincaria, it gets like 150% extra experience from everything. You open up like a 1000 XP chest, suddenly it's like 2.5k XP. It feels kind of insane. It's really good. First aid specialization now increases the HP bonus granted to creatures by the first aid 10 by 5% per hero level. So this is what I was saying about the first aid specialist, that they increase this base value of the HP that is granted to all units by the first aid 10. It's really good. And Floorbird is getting quite a bit of attention by some players in the lobby, and rightfully so. Then we have enhanced specializations that add plus 3% to spells effect for end hero levels, where N is the target's tier. Change to 5% for Meteor Shower and Chain Lightning. So Chain Lightning and Meteor Shower specialists get a little bit of a bonus. So this is a buff to Demer and Solmir, but a very slight one. And then, oh yeah, then Resurrection and Raise Death. So Font and Alamar and Jedi too. A slight buff. But then plus 10% for all other spells. And now, I haven't really tried this, but this feels like it would be possibly pretty insane. So now, let's say you're targeting a level 1 creature with like, let's say Adelaide's Frost Ring ability. A level 10 Adelaide, which is of course not even that high of a level, to the tier 1 creature is going to be dealing double damage, 10 times 10%. Now, of course, when you're going to be targeting like higher level creatures, it's going to like fall off quite a bit. But let's say you're targeting like tier 5 stack, it's still going to be like 20% extra damage from the damage spell specialty. This is going to be like really adding up, and I think is going to be pretty amazing. Right now, we get to like try all sorts of like specialties. Forgetfulness specialization now increases the reduction of attacking creatures' number in target stacks by 10% for end hero levels, where N is the target's level. So yeah, forgetfulness specialty is also like pretty insane. You could you could make any ranged creature basically deal like no damage with even like a pretty low level forgetfulness specialists. But they're pretty rare, and you don't only fight ranged creatures, so I don't think this will really see a lot of play. Cure Specialization grants plus 10% effect for 8 minus N hero levels, where N is the target's tier. Affects stronger creatures more. I mean, Cure Specialty, I don't really think this will matter much. Now this one is a pretty big one. Bloodlust Stone Skin Precision Specialization adds 10, 8, 6, 4 to the spell's effect on tier 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, tier 7 creatures. This means that if you're going to be starting with Ignatius on Conflux, and you're going to be casting Bloodlust on your like Pixies or Air Elementals as you would in the early game, you're going to be getting a free 10 attack to them. And suddenly, it's really, really insane. Like, if you're casting Esper Bloodlust, you're giving, like, all your low-tier creatures 15 attack skill. And 15 attack skill is an insane amount, making, you know, like, those early spells be worth a lot here. I've already tried playing Ignatius once, I just ran him into him, and it felt actually, like, really, really good. Suddenly, like, Bloodlust becomes better than Bless for Conflux, which is very, very surprising. And if you use Bulb, then yeah, like every single stack is one-shotting anything that they ever hit. So yeah, these specializations will be really interesting to try. Next up is we have Weakness Specialization. Has like quite a bit more effect as well. So weakness is gonna be Merlanda, I believe, like the main weakness specialist. And yeah, casting weakness is gonna be like far more powerful, as it's gonna be reducing the like high tier units by like 10. So you're gonna be able to like reduce like an angel's attack skill by 15 with a single cast. It's honestly sounds like really, really good. But whether this is going to be good enough to make some of those heroes be played over others is still to be seen. Because basically most of these specializations are getting buffed across the board. But that means that, you know, they're going to be like, there's going to be like more competition to see whether they're going to be actually used or not. Okay, some prayer specialization. I don't think these ones actually end up getting buffed. Because they were like really good already. The only buff is that they actually now grant some bonus to tier 7 creatures. They didn't used to grant any bonus to tier 7 creatures at all, I believe. Then Slayer Specialization adds 20, 16, 12, 8 extra attack against like high tier creatures. But like, I mean, who really casts Slayer? This is an insane amount of attack skill, but still, who really casts Slayer? But the specialization might actually make it so you want to have like a hero that can cast Slayer once, unlike your skeleton stack when you're playing Undead. So they're gonna be like just one-shotting the dragons. It might be utilized, but we'll see. Then Disrupting Ray specialization increases the spell's effect by 10. This one also kind of shook me, because Base Expert Disrupting Ray, I believe, reduces attack skill by, defense skill by 7. The specialization adds 10 more. It makes Disrupting Ray more than double as good. And it's on a hero like Anian, and Anian is generally already pretty good. So in Duel, you might be seeing more of him. And he's gonna be like pretty oppressive in endgame Finalkas because he can, you know, like reduce the opponent's power stack, defense skill down to 0 with just a few casts. It looks pretty oppressive. Next one is really spicy as well. Adriani's Fire Magic Specialization increases fire spell damage by 50%. So Adriani gets an inbuilt Orb of Firmament into, well, yeah, just her hero. So she's going to be becoming the new Luna. She's going to be dealing an insane amount of damage. And this, by the way, stacks with Fire Orb, stacks with Sorcery. So we might be seeing like new insane numbers on some Armageddon play. And yeah, any fire spell, even a Magic Arrow, by the way, is going to be like really busting on her. This is a massive, massive buff to Adriani. Enhance the effect of creature-based specializations, giving +5 attack and defense for end hero levels, where N is the creature tier. Now, plus 10% for tier 1 creatures, 30% for Ballista, and 20% for other creatures. Now, when I was first going over these patch notes, I kind of glossed over this, yeah, creature specializations, who really cares? But this is not to be overlooked. All of the creature specializations basically came down to just giving basically +1 speed to that unit, and that was it. But no more. These numbers are high enough that they will be really, really insane. I was playing Fiona the other day, and I have a level 10 Fiona, and she's suddenly granting 6 attack skill, 6 or 8 attack skill to my dog's extra. That is not okay. It's giving you so many mind stats on those units that you're playing that it really does make a difference. And yeah, so basically any unit specialist that you like playing, like Cal, Valeska, Galfran, are really worth exploring more right now because they just got a lot better. Then finally, our lovely two fishes, Colt and Lacus, get a massive buff. They just straight up get 6 times more attack skill from their specialty. Instead of 2 attack, they now gain 12. I haven't gotten a chance to play with this to see how it feels, but it does seem really bonkers. Fire Elemental Specialization now gives, 2 more attack skill, 2 more defense skill. And, yeah, none of these other ones, really make that much of a difference. The Lord Heart Specialization now gives 5 more attack and defense skill. And this was already pretty much the best unit specialization in the game. And it probably will stay the same Because the amount of, the amount of, like, might size that you get is really, really insane. And of course, you still get the flat damage too. Zeron got some love. Double Specialization now grants 10 attack skill and 10 defense skill instead of like 4 too. So the numbers are like really being scaled up here. And the specialties will become, instead of like being just like a novelty, something that is in the background, maybe sometimes a little bit useful, it'll become like the center point of heroes that you're going to be playing. And I feel like that's really, really awesome. Then we have the Dragon Specialization giving 10-10 my stats instead of the 5-5. Not sure if this is going to be good enough to make Muteri played, but yeah, we will see. The requirement for the Hling Adul is now going to be Blacksmith instead of Town Hall. Not really sure what this is about. Mechanics' damage increased from 2 to 4 to 3 to 4. And Engineer's damage increased from 2 to 5 to 3 to 5. So mechanics are getting more base damage. They were like pretty okay units already with their breath attack and decent speed. Like pretty easily stackable as well. Yeah, they were like okay units. And now they're becoming quite a bit better. And alongside the hero specialty change, this will probably make Sam really, really good. Yeah, because like you buff Sam's engineer specialization, then you buff like the units themselves, and then you get like a double buff. This is probably going to be like really, really strong. Heroes' starting mechanics counting is increased from 68 to 79. So yeah, so you also get more of them. So this is actually a triple buff. They get more units, they deal more base damage, and they scale better with the specialization. So that is kind of insane. I haven't tried it yet though. Automaton and Sentinel Automaton damage increase from 70 plus 5x to 90 plus 5x. So the detonation damage is going to be increased. I really don't like this change personally, because like when you're out in the wild, dealing with these guys is gonna be just like a massive nightmare. And you know, like using them yourself with the higher damage is still like a little bit annoying as well. So yeah, that just makes the game a little bit more toxic. But anyway, the cost of Dreadnoughts and gold reduced from 22,500 to 22. The cost of Juggernauts reduced from 45 to 35. Then Gantry, gold cost is reduced from 1,500 to 10,000. Marketplace removed from the requirements for the Gantry. Resource Silo is removed from the requirements for the upgrade Gantry. So what we have here is not one, not two, 3 buffs to robots. So the Juggernauts and Dreadnoughts were not really played a lot. So the Hoda team really wanted to incentivize us to play them. So they made them way cheaper to buy, way cheaper to build, and quite a bit easier to build as well, removing some of the requirements. I believe that this will actually make robots meta in very many formats. They will become really, really good with this high accessibility, cheapness. You can actually, just crank some out and like immediately use them. This is awesome, and I can't wait to try some robots. Then we have increase the AI value of Ghost Dragons, Scorpicors, Red Dragons, and Cyclops Kings. So this means that it was really not rewarding to fight these units, Ghost Dragons, Scorpicors, Red Dragons, and Cyclops Kings, because there would be like a massive amount of them for like a pretty minimal reward compared to the difficulty of the fight. So because of this change of AI value, the difficulty of the fight is going to be more proportional to the reward of the fight because of this. And they reduced the AI value of Nagas. So Nagas were the exact opposite, where you would be able to like fight Nagas, like kill them for free, but the reward would be insane because their AI value is so high. Right now, these units are adjusted so that the difficulty of the fight is going to be more proportional to the reward. I feel like this is good change. Increase the default number of sharpshooters on the map, which makes it impossible to generate them in weak guard spots on random maps. So something toxic that would happen in random maps is that you would generally get like several sharpshooters either on your road or blocking you somewhere, and that would make the map like super hard to play because if you're not ready for it, then sharpshooters kind of end up just destroying you. And it's really hard to be ready in the early phase of the game where you don't have like a fast creature, you can't block them, you can't immediately like spell them, so they just kind of use your insane damage and no range penalty to just destroy you. But no more, thanks to this nice little change. Now, next change is probably like one of my favorites actually, the next deal. Building Dragon Cliffs and Upgrade Dragon Cliffs no longer requires the Enhanced Spring and Unicorn Glade, as well as building Dragon Cave and Upgrade Dragon Cave no longer requires the Labyrinth and the Manticore Lair. So, we got massively buffed build paths for both dragon types, the red dragons and the green dragons, and this will make them finally meta, in my opinion, in very many formats. Dragons are really cool. They're like, like a favorite of many people, but building them would take like a very long time and it's like really hard, resource intensive. So now we can skip a few steps. Not having to build the enhanced spring and unicorn glade saves you like so much gold, resources, yeah, that you can actually invest them into the Dragon Cliffs instead. And I think this is amazing. The Day of the Dragon is here, and I am all for it. This is gonna be awesome to play. Then the default number of Master Genies in Ancient Lamps reduced from 47 to 46. Ancient Lamps were a little bit busted, so they're being toned down just slightly. That's okay. Town Portal or Dimension Door dropping is now guaranteed at the third rather than the fourth spell research attempt at the corresponding Mage Guild. So yeah, in Horn of the Abyss you can research spells. The very important spells to research into is going to be Town Portal and Dimension Door. They're literally game changing. And if you can't get them research after research, then you basically just lose the game flat out. It was guaranteed, in order to fix this, it was guaranteed that at the fourth research, you would be guaranteed to get the spell by that point. However, I guess it was like a little bit too late, and so they toned it down and will now give you the spell guaranteed at the third research instead, making games quite a bit closer and less RNG. At least like some of the games, in some of the formats. Purchasing a skill from the University of Magic in the conflicts now costs resources in addition to 2,000 gold. Air 5 gems, water 5 crystal, fire 5 mercury, and earth 5 sulfur. This one I really can't get used to still. Yeah, this change is like pretty wacky. Now you're gonna be paying like precious resources on top of the 2,000 gold in the Magic University to buy Schools of Magic. That is, yeah, feels really weird, but apparently Magic University is like pretty busted, and this is gonna be like a way to scale it down, that you can't just like straight out print out super many good heroes in some of the control formats. 0 to 3 random obstacles appear in experimental shop. In about 50% of the cases, this blocks the standard methods of guiding steel golems. So, experimental shops were like for a very long time problematic resource creature banks, because you would be able to like cheese them early on and it would completely destroy like the way that you build up in the game. So in order for this to be less of a problem, they added terrain into these, so it's gonna be like way harder to kite. Yeah, bringing some balance into the game. The Cloak of the Ender King is not allowed to be assembled by default. It remains allowed in Ender King Clash of Dragons Townplane, as well as the number of single player scenarios. I'm not really sure why this changes here. Like, with tournament rules on, which you will play with by default, even if you assemble it, you don't get to raise liches, but it does basically let you raise skeletons, but that's the only thing that it does. I guess this was problematic, so no longer available. The disguise spell effect now lasts not until the end of the day, but rather until the next turn of the player who cast it begins. So yeah, this is actually like a pretty no-brainer change, because if you're playing blue and you cast disguise, if you click end turn and it's red player's turn next, your disguise will immediately disappear, and yeah, it's pretty silly, I believe, that this is the case. So now they basically fixed it. View Earth and View Air effects are now saved until the end of player's turn. The information is available for the world view screen. This change feels so good to play with. And this is because, you know, like you would need some information. Maybe you would be able to, I mean, maybe you're like viewing Earth to like see where you need to DD. So you're gonna be like still on the road and such. And having to cast like View Earth again and again to like readjust. You know, it like consumes like a lot of mana. But now you can actually, after casting it once at a turn, you can just click V and you will be able to see the same information again. And you will have it at until the end of your turn. I feel like this is amazing of a change. And you can also combine View Air and View Earth information into a single map as well, which feels really, really good. I really love this change. It's intuitive, it's nice, and yeah, I love it. Added the ability to teleport through Castle Gate of an Inferno Town to ally Inferno Towns, including when playing without the HD mod. Yeah, you can teleport to ally Inferno Towns. Uncool thing that matters in almost any case. The Diplomat's Mantle now allows the players to flee, rather than capitulate only after a spell cast by an attacking hero in the first round of combat. So there's a rule in tournament play, tournament rules of Heroes 3, which we use for the online play, that if you are attacking somebody, well, let's say with a single Phoenix, and you cast a spell on the first turn, let's say like just like Armageddon or Implosion, you cannot retreat on that first round. You need to like wait until the second round to retreat. This is so you can't like hit and run infinitely against somebody who doesn't have a fast enough creature or the shackles. So in order to, and yeah, basically the Diplomat's Cloak now disables the anti-hit and run rule. So yeah, the Diplomat's Cloak holders will be able to cheat now basically. Awesome. Now, when teleporting through multi-sided monoliths and whirlpools, the hero always arrives to a previously unvisited monolith of the same type. If any, after visiting all monoliths the same type, the order of teleportation through them becomes fixed. This is awesome. So whenever there would be like scenarios with like teleporters that lead into like multiple destinations, like in the Hoda campaign, for example, you would have to like mash that teleport button until you get like that exact view, but because you're like mashing so fast because you didn't get it in the wild, then you like skip it and you're like, oh my god, I have to like do that all over again and find like this destination. This fixes everything. One time you click through, you get like every single unique thing, and then the order locks in, and then you will always know how many times you need to click teleport in order to get to a certain destination. Amazing. Why couldn't we have had this like 20 years ago? They just fixed Portal for good. This is awesome. I love it. The AI now ignores the limits on the number of heroes it can hire when rebuying its own heroes who are fleeing from combat. Yeah, so basically sometimes you would be able to like abuse the AI by like making them flee on like a really good hero. And then you would be able to like make some two inferior heroes flee, and they would like they would like you know, like delete the good hero that they would like to rebuy. So yeah, this is basically to prevent such type of an abuse. Then some templates banned Ryan, Gem, Verdish, and Floorbird, basically the first 8 guys, and yeah, some templates ended up banning the learning heroes because apparently maybe they would be a little bit too good there. So that wraps it up for changes in Heroes 3 Horn of the Abyss. We have Bulwark, we have a new campaign that I'm going to be playing, we have secondary skills being changed, we have specialties across the board being buffed. Whoops alerts. Yeah, then we have the build pass being altered. Honestly, an amazing update and the biggest balance update that we've ever seen for Hoda. I'm very excited to try basically all of this, and you're going to be able to see many games, including these new changes, in the coming days on my YouTube channel. So if you're not yet subscribed, make sure that you do. I'll see you on another video, and also Twitch, of course, where I stream every day. Thanks for watching, and goodbye!